My adopted daughter invited me to her wedding. I didn't beg to come. I didn't show up unannounced. She looked me in the eye weeks before and said, "I want you there, Dad." So I came. I put on my best suit. I even polished my old shoes. I carved her name into a wooden gift box with my own hands. I got there early, like always. And the moment I reached the door, her husband stepped out and blocked me. No smile. No greeting. He just said, "Go home." I thought it was a joke. I laughed. I waited for the punchline, but it never came. He just stood there, cold, serious, like I didn't belong. "She doesn't want you here," he added. And the way he said it, like she'd rehearsed it, like she meant it. I looked past him, hoping to see her, even just for a second. But she never came. She never looked. She never said a word. So I did what he asked. I turned around, and I left. But not before placing that carved box at the edge of the steps. The gift no one expected. The one thing that would change everything after I walked away. You know, I've been through a lot in life. Broken bones, lost jobs, nights with no heat, and nothing but canned beans for dinner. But nothing, not a single thing has ever stung like hearing "go home" from someone who once called me Dad. Not after everything we'd been through. Not after all the years I spent trying to be enough. I didn't adopt her out of pity. I wasn't trying to be a savior. I was just a man who saw a little girl that no one else wanted to claim. A 5-year-old sitting alone in a social worker's office, holding a stuffed elephant that was missing one eye. She wasn't crying. She wasn't asking for help. She was just quiet, still, tired in a way a child should never be. And that silence, it stayed with me. Long after I left the building, her face was still in my mind. That same night, I called the agency, asked if they needed short-term placement. 1 week later, she was sleeping on my couch. The first night she didn't say a word, just curled up with that elephant. Second night, she asked if I had peanut butter. Third night, she called me Mister. Fourth night, she said, "Can I stay a little longer?" I said yes. I always said yes. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. And somewhere in there, she started calling me Dad. First time she said it, I was making scrambled eggs. She just looked up and said, "Dad, can you pass the salt?" I almost dropped the pan. I didn't correct her. I didn't ask her to repeat it. I just smiled and passed the salt. That morning, I cried in the garage, quietly, because it hit me. I wasn't just filling in. I was it. I was her person, her safe place, her family. And from that moment on, I tried to live up to it. I went to every school play, even the ones where she had one line. I stayed up with her during flu season. I took her to the ER when she broke her arm falling off her bike. I held her when she got her first period and didn't know what was happening. I let her scream at me when she turned 16 and thought I was ruining her life. I worked double shifts just to afford braces. And again when she said she wanted to apply to college out of state. When she got in, I sold my truck to pay her deposit. Told her the engine died. Truth is, it was the best truck I ever owned. But she deserved better than I ever had. And she never knew. Because that's what being a parent is, isn't it? Doing the hard stuff. Quietly. Without asking for a thank you. Watching someone grow into their own life. Even when that life starts to move away from you. I remember the first time she told me about him. "He's sweet," she said. "Polite." I asked what he did. She said he was still figuring it out. Said he made her laugh. Said he was different. I wanted to believe her. I did. But something in her voice, It didn't sound excited. It sounded like she was trying to convince herself. First time we met, he called me, sir. Firm handshake. Fake smile. The kind that doesn't reach the eyes. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. People change when they feel watched. But over time, the small things started stacking up. He never came around for holidays. Never offered to help clean up after dinner. Always had somewhere to be. When she moved in with him, the calls slowed down. Holidays turned into text messages. And when I asked if she was okay, she always said, "I'm just busy." I told myself that's normal. Young adults grow apart from their parents. They build lives. I didn't want to smother her. But the distance kept growing. And the spark in her eyes, it started to dim. Like she was shrinking herself to fit into his shadow. I started writing letters. Just short notes. Thinking of you. Hope you're okay. Still proud of you. Most went unanswered. One time she replied, "Don't worry so much. I'm fine." That was all. And then, one day, she called. Voice softer than I remembered. She said, "I'm getting married." I said, "Congratulations." She said, "I want you there." I didn't ask if she meant it. I just said yes. She didn't give me a formal invite. No card. No RSVP. Just a date. A time. A location. That should have been my first clue. But I held on to hope. Hope that this was her reaching back. Hope that maybe she missed me too. So I showed up. Clean shirt. Gift in hand. Heart on my sleeve. And got turned away by a man who never saw the years I put in. The sleepless nights. The birthdays. The scraped knees. The broken hearts I helped mend. He didn't know any of that. All he saw was a man at the door. Uninvited. Unwanted. And maybe that's what she sees now too. I stood there, holding that wooden box, carved with her name, Emily Grace Thompson. Took me weeks to carve it. Inside was a letter. And something else. Something she forgot I still had. But he didn't care. He snatched it like it was nothing. Told me again to go home. And so I did. But I left that box behind. And later, when she opened it, everything changed. I didn't cry right away. You'd think I would, right? Standing outside my daughter's wedding, after being told to leave like some kind of stranger. I mean, that's the stuff that breaks a man. But I didn't cry. I just stood there for a minute, looking at the building, listening to the music faintly playing inside, and trying to process what had just happened. I felt hollow, not angry, not even sad, just empty. Like all the years, all the memories, had suddenly been deleted. Like I had been erased from her story with a single sentence. Go home. It didn't feel real. Not yet. My hands still had that phantom weight of the box I'd carved. My legs didn't know whether to move or collapse. And my heart, well, my heart didn't know what to feel. So I did what I always do when I don't know what to do. I walked. I just started walking. No direction, no plan. Just me and the sound of my shoes on the sidewalk. Somewhere along the way, I ended up at a diner. You know, the kind old vinyl booths. Burnt coffee. The smell of bacon in the air. No matter the time of day. I sat in the corner. Ordered a black coffee. Didn't drink it. Just sat there, staring out the window. Playing back every moment that led to that door being shut in my face. I kept wondering, did she know he was going to do that? Did she stand behind the curtain and watch me leave? Or worse, was it her idea? I mean, she invited me. I didn't ask to come. She said she wanted me there. But maybe that was just guilt talking. Maybe she never meant it. Maybe he told her it was him or me. And she chose him. I don't know. I probably never will. And that hurts more than anything. Not knowing. Not having answers. Because I could handle the truth, even if it cut deep. But silence? Silence is a blade that twists. As I sat there, watching people pass by dressed for weddings, birthdays, just another Saturday, I realized something that made my stomach turn. She didn't even text me. Not after. Not that day. Not that night. Not the next morning. Nothing. Not even a sorry. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This wasn't a mistake. This was a decision. A choice. A line drawn in the sand. And I was left on the other side. And you know what's messed up? I still didn't hate her. I couldn't. Because even after everything, I remembered the girl who used to fall asleep on my chest. The one who called me to pick her up from every bad date. The one who once whispered, "You're the only real family I've ever had." That girl. She was still in there. Somewhere. Buried under years of distance, of whispered doubts, of whatever poison he'd poured into her ears. But she was in there. I had to believe that. Because if I didn't, then everything I gave, everything I sacrificed, would have been for nothing. And that's not a pill I can swallow. Not yet. So I sat in that diner until the sun dipped low, until the waitress gently asked if I needed anything else. I paid for the coffee I didn't drink and walked back to my car, still parked in the same spot, still facing the church, still waiting, like me, for something that wasn't coming. I didn't drive home right away. I just sat behind the wheel, staring at the front steps, and for a moment, I thought about going back, just walking in, not to cause a scene, not to fight, just to see her, to look her in the eye. But I didn't, because whatever happened next, I wanted her to make the first move. If she had anything to say, it had to come from her, not from me, forcing my way in. So I drove home, slowly, quietly, one hand on the wheel, the other gripping the spot where the gift box had rested. And the whole time, I kept thinking about what I had left inside. Because it wasn't just a box. It wasn't just a letter. It was something more. Something personal, painful, real. You see, years ago, back when she was still in high school, we made this little memory jar project together. Every time something important happened, we'd write it down and put it in a jar, big or small. First A, on a test. First, school dance. First, broken heart. I kept the jar long after she stopped adding to it. Kept it in my closet, tucked behind old coats and boxes. And inside that wedding gift box, along with a letter I wrote by hand the night before, I placed that memory jar. Every little folded piece of paper, every note, every moment, I wanted her to remember, to feel it, to see who we were before things got complicated, before he came along, before the silence, before the door. And in that letter, I didn't beg, I didn't guilt trip. I just told her the truth, that I loved her, that I never stopped, that I would always be here, no matter what she chose. But I also told her one more thing. I told her that I wasn't going to chase someone who didn't want me in their life. I told her that if this was really goodbye, I would respect it. I didn't want to write that part. I didn't want to mean it. But I had to. For me. For my sanity. Because sometimes, even love has to let go. I mailed myself a copy of that letter, just in case I ever forgot what I said. Just in case she never replies. Because I need to remember that I did everything I could, that I showed up, that I didn't walk away until I was told to. And even then, I left something behind. A box, a jar, a memory, a choice. What she does with it now, That's up to her. But something tells me that box is going to sit heavy in that house. He's going to ask about it. She's going to open it. She's going to read that letter. And when she does, maybe, just maybe, she'll remember who I am and who she used to be. And if not, then I'll still have peace. Because I know the kind of father I was. I know what I gave, what I built, what I tried, and no door, no matter how loudly it slammed, can take that away from me. 3 days passed. No call, no message, no knock on my door. I went to work. I came home. I sat in silence. And for the first time in a long time, I started to feel like maybe this really was it. Maybe she meant it. Maybe I was no longer part of her life. It's a hard thing, you know. Letting go of someone who's still alive, still walking around, still breathing the same air, but acting like you no longer exist. That kind of grief doesn't come with a funeral. It just lingers, quiet, empty. I tried not to think about the box, about the jar, about the letter. I told myself, it's done. Let it go. But I couldn't. Because that box was the last thing I had to give her. The last chance for her to see me not as the man standing on the porch, but as the father who showed up, who stayed, who loved her when no one else did. I figured if she didn't call by the weekend, I'd burn the copy of the letter I mailed myself. Try to start fresh. Pretend it didn't happen. But then, Sunday afternoon, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Just one sentence. No, hi, no name. Just, I opened the box. My hands froze. My heart did too. I stared at the screen like it might disappear. I didn't respond. Not right away. I just stared. Then, a second message came. I didn't know you kept all of that. I sat down. Slowly. Like my legs forgot how to bend. My eyes stung. My chest felt tight. I still didn't reply. I couldn't find the words. A few minutes later, a third message came. Can I come see you? I stared at that question like it was written in another language. She wanted to come. To me. After everything. After the silence. After the wedding. After the door. After. Go home. She wanted to come home. I didn't know what to say. I just typed, yes. That's it. Nothing more. Nothing dramatic. Just, yes. 2 hours later, she was on my porch. No husband. No makeup. No fancy clothes. Just Emily. In a hoodie and jeans. Hair pulled back. Eyes red. She didn't knock. She just stood there. Like she didn't know if she was allowed to come in. I opened the door. Didn't say a word. Just stepped aside. She walked in. Slow. Cautious. Like the house might fall apart around her. Same house she grew up in. Same creaky floorboard near the kitchen. Same photos still hanging on the hallway wall. And then, she turned to me, and she cried. Not soft. Not pretty. She broke. And I did too. I wrapped my arms around her like I had 100 times before. And we stood there. In the doorway. Two people who hadn't stopped loving each other, but forgot how to say it. After a while, we sat down at the kitchen table. Same one where she did homework. Where we carved pumpkins. Where she told me she wanted to be a veterinarian. She didn't say much at first. Just held the memory jar in her hands, turning it. Staring at the paper inside like they were puzzle pieces. Finally, she said, I thought you forgot. I shook my head. I never forgot anything. She looked at me, her eyes tired, her voice small. He told me it would be easier if I left the past behind. That I didn't owe you anything. I didn't say a word. I let her talk. He said you were holding me back. That you were trying to control me. That you'd never really let me grow up. I could feel something twisting in my gut, but I stayed still. I let her speak. I believed him. I stopped calling. I pulled away. I told myself it was what I needed. Her hands trembled, but then I saw the jar. I read the letter. I remembered who I was before him. She looked up. And who you were to me. My throat was dry. My chest heavy. I said, I never asked you to choose. She nodded. I know. That's what makes it worse. There was silence. Not awkward. Just honest. Then she said, he didn't know I took the box. I came back for it that night. He was drunk. I told him I forgot my phone, but I saw it on the table, still sealed. He hadn't even looked at it. I clenched my fist under the table, not in anger, in restraint. He called me selfish, she said. When I cried, he told me to stop being dramatic. I asked, has he hurt you? She paused, too long, then said, not with his hands. I nodded. She said, I don't think I can go back. I looked at her, really looked, and said, then don't. She broke again, softer this time. Can I stay here? You never left, I said. That night she slept in her old room. I brought out clean sheets, fluffed the pillows. She curled up in bed like she was 10 again, holding that old stuffed elephant, the same one with one eye missing. She still had it. I stayed up, sitting on the porch, staring at the sky, thinking about how close I came to giving up, about how silence almost buried us, about how a box of memories saved something worth fighting for. And I realized something. People talk about forgiveness like it's some big moment, a speech, a hug, a tearful reunion. But sometimes, forgiveness is quiet. It's letting someone in. It's warming up leftovers. It's leaving the porch light on. In the morning, she made coffee, like old times, and she said, he's probably going to come looking for me. I said, then he'll find you standing next to someone who's not afraid of him. She smiled. You always were. I shrugged. Someone had to be. She stayed a week, then a month, then longer. No wedding photos ever came in the mail. No thank you card. No messages from him. Just silence. And this time, I was okay with it. Because this time, the silence wasn't between us. It was around us. Peaceful. Still. I still have the jar. She added a note to it last week. First time in years, it said. Found my way back. Hope that counts. It does. It always will. I don't know what's next. If she'll start over. If she'll heal. But I know this love doesn't always need words. Sometimes, it just needs a box, a memory, and the door to stay open.